What about this one here? Pure protein bars. Now, this one, it kind of the marketing makes it look healthy, but it says 20 grams of protein on it. And I see the picture here. It's a galactic brownie, which sounds delicious. Man, I bet this does taste really good. My mouth's actually watering a little bit. It says naturally and artificially flavored. Oh, it's gluten-free, so of course it's healthy. The gravel in my driveway is also gluten-free, so it's worth remembering that. My eyes are bad, so I'll have you look at that in the ingredients here. Holy moly, what is going on? There's more ingredients there. If we wanted to read all the ingredients, it would take 2 or 3 hours, I feel like.
There's got to be at least 30 ingredients here. And I wonder, I don't know if the FDA has any font size requirements on the ingredients. I mean, who could read that?
Yeah, I can't. It just looks like a blur.
Look at the size of it. It's so small.
Well, what's funny is the first word I see is pure. Right?
Pure protein. So these are interesting because they're part of a growing section of the grocery store, which is sort of the protein-enriched foods that masquerade as healthy, which are not actually healthy. And you can see that if you do a little more digging beyond the calories. Because, I mean, again, look at our previous discussion of calories. Big, bold letters, 180 calories. Doesn't sound like that many calories.
Sounds healthy to me.
And it's got 20 grams of protein. That is
even healthier.
Right? That is essentially where most of the consumers may stop. And that's how they market it on the front. 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and 180 calories. These must be healthy. But we begin to read the ingredients and we see things like, well, titanium dioxide. That's not a great thing for humans. You don't want to be eating titanium dioxide, probably bad for your gut. And the last couple of ingredients are the food dyes, which have been recently regulated against. So you've got yellow 5, red 3, yellow 6, and blue 1. But it doesn't stop there. You also have sucralose in here, which is a artificial sweetener. So now we're getting into the realm of, calories are bad. Therefore, we're going to introduce a synthetic artificial sweetener, which has got to be healthy. There's no calories in sucralose, Josh. But if you look at sucralose, there are some problems when you look at the data with this. I remember when we were in the liquor store and we were looking at energy drinks, this was one of the things that I pointed out to you that I have a problem with is these artificial sweeteners, specifically sucralose, which is brand marked or brand named Splenda. They have them in packets that are like the sugar now, right?
Yeah.
So you can take a Splenda packet, put it in your coffee.
It's been decades, but I couldn't tell you how much of that stuff I consumed.
People ate a lot of it. So there are a couple problems with sucralose. There was recently a study where they actually gave people a similar amount of sucralose to sugar versus water in drinks. And even more than sugar, sucralose made people hungrier afterward. I think that for most of us, getting enough protein is important. There is something called this protein leverage hypothesis, which is not the only thing that affects our satiety, the amount of protein we get in a day, but I think most of us can have more satiety, that is less hunger, if we get enough protein per day. Now, if you ask 10 nutrition experts, you might get 7 answers about how much protein someone needs. I think that a good rule of thumb for people, which is probably even a little of an overestimate, is 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight, right? So I'm about 160 pounds, which means I'm aiming for 160 grams of protein per day. I probably don't need quite that much, maybe 0.8 grams, but it's just easier to remember 1 gram. And that's goal body weight. Now, when you think about that, how does that translate, right? So you think a pound of meat, one of the single ingredient foods around the outside of the grocery store, a pound of meat has around 100 grams of protein. So the other thing that I eat with protein is milk. So that has maybe 6 grams of protein per serving for me. So I'm going to have to think like, okay, if I really want to meet my protein needs for the day, I need to be thinking, how am I going to get that much meat? And meat is good for humans. It has lots of micronutrients, which help with satiety long term. I think a major issue is people are not getting enough protein. So I see where they're coming from here. I mean, it's pure protein, right? But I don't think that you want to get protein at the expense of artificial sweeteners, sucralose, food dyes, carrageenan is also in here, which is harmful for the gut. You want to get protein from foods that are either convenient and higher quality or foods that you can take the time to prepare. So this is where it comes to, you didn't take the time to prepare. So cooking some meat or fish or chicken for yourself throughout the day. And I think most of us eating protein at 2 or 3 meals a day is going to be helpful for long-term satiety, lack of hunger. weight loss, and resilience, right? We know that when we get enough protein, our bones are stronger, our ligaments are stronger. Those are the things that connect the bones to each other. Our skin is better. That's how we make collagen, is from protein, especially bioavailable animal protein. There are more and more of these items in the grocery store that are simple ingredients that are convenient, but we need to expand that category because most of it is this. It's health, advertisement, which is really not that healthy, right? It's messaging forward foods that are not actually really that healthy for us.
And I think when we're in a position where we're going to buy one of these bars, it's often because we're hungry, not because we're thinking to ourselves, okay, let's make sure I get the right amount of protein today, right? If I'm just focused on protein, I might be able to lean into the prep, but it's usually hunger that drives us to do this. And we look at the candy bar aisle and we think, well, this is probably better than, a Kit Kat bar or something like that. But do you think in those instances that leaning in the direction of something like fruit would be a better idea to get some quick energy, some quick satiation until you can get home and prep and have some high quality protein?
I always think leaning toward the simple single ingredient foods is better. I did a piece of content about this. I don't know how helpful this would be to most people. If you're in a grocery store, one of the most accessible but satiating foods might be something like cheese. Right? Most people don't do this, but if you tolerate dairy, right, you could get cheese, especially Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, quite high in protein. And it's the type of thing, it's like ready-made in the grocery store. You can just open the package and eat cheese, right? This is not the type of thing we think about, but it's available. Because it's funny, I think of this as like, this is modern hunting, right? My hunting grounds are a grocery store, whether it's a Ralph's, an Erewhon, or a Whole Foods. It's only what's available there. And most people are not going to go in and eat raw meat. So we have to think, what are ready-to-eat foods in a grocery store that are better options than others? Cheese might be one of them. A banana might be good. An apple, an orange, the fruit you mentioned. But if you want more protein, you might actually go for something like a bite or two of a cheese or a Parmigiano Reggiano, or a good quality, hopefully a jerky or something that's been made with less ingredients that's a little better for you.